Good morning, Kenyans. We are here to deliver good news to Kenyans and to deliver bad news to the leaders of Kenya, because this is an exercise that we must undertake for Kenya to grow and flourish as a constitutional democracy. With me here is the advisory given by the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Justice David Kenani Maraga, to the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, to dissolve Parliament. It is on that backdrop that we have gathered here to chart the way forward, because there is a possibility of the rule of law being subverted further by those, the people of Kenya, elected into office. This is our statement. It reads, Parliament is unlawful and shall not conduct business beyond the 12th of October 2020. Kenyans, there is need here and now to assert the legal position with finality on what must be done following the advice by the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya to the President of the Republic of Kenya to dissolve Parliament. The urgency and finality is necessitated by an emerging and fast developing trend by certain individuals and institutions to belittle, berate, and castigate the Chief Justice for having advised the dissolution of Parliament as mandated by the Constitution of Kenya. Key amongst the individuals propagating the false, erroneous narrative is the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Justin Muturi, who unfortunately is an advocate and ought to have handled the matter with wisdom and leadership. Muturi is on record stating falsely and deceitfully that the advisory given by the Chief Justice is unconstitutional and premature. He further stated that there should be no anxiety on the dissolution of Parliament for the reason that the Parliamentary Service Commission will move to court and have the matter resolved lawfully. This statement by Muturi, which is self-assured, may be interpreted to mean that the Chief Justice acted unlawfully, and further that those on whose behalf Muturi speaks have secured a judge who is prepared to overlook the express provision of Article 2, Sub-Article 3 on the supremacy of the Constitution. For clarity, this is what the Constitution provides. The validity or legality of this Constitution is not subject to challenge by or before any court or other state organ. Kenyans, the positions taken by those opposed to the advisory by the Chief Justice is what the Court of Appeal held on the 5th of April 2019 to be, and I quote, precisely the kind of conduct that the people of Kenya wanted to avoid by writing the dissolution clause into the Constitution under Article 261. Under Article 261, Sub-Article 7 of the Constitution of Kenya, the people of Kenya express their will as follows. If Parliament fails to enact legislation in accordance with an order under Clause 6B, the Chief Justice shall advise the President to dissolve Parliament, and the President shall dissolve Parliament. The power given by the people of Kenya to the Chief Justice to advise the President to dissolve Parliament is a sovereign delegated power. In advising the President, the Chief Justice speaks on behalf of the people of Kenya and not as a judge. This sovereign power is people given by Article 1 of the Constitution and has been exercised in accordance with the Constitution of Kenya as provided under Article 261, Sub-Article 7. The exercise of this power cannot be challenged in court or anywhere because the supremacy of the Constitution of Kenya is beyond the pale of such a judicial challenge. Following the advice by the Chief Justice, the President of the Republic of Kenya is duty-bound to dissolve Parliament. The argument that there is no time for the dissolution is inimical to the express expectations of the people of Kenya that the President, as a delegate, will comply with the Constitution of Kenya. Be that as it may, the courts have interpreted time where time is not specified for the performance of an act required under the Constitution as being reasonable time not exceeding 21 days. Counting 21 days from the 21st of September 2020 will take us to the 12th of October 2020. The President will be in violation of the Constitution should he fail to dissolve Parliament on or before the 12th of October 2020. Regardless of the President's action or inaction, Parliament will be unlawful effective the 12th of October 2020. The consequence of this is this: any legislative authority exercised by Parliament subsequent thereafter will be without the authority of the people of Kenya. Further, any oversight of state organs exercised by Parliament will be without the authority of the people of Kenya. These Kenyans is the anathema that those we elected want to subject us to. It is incumbent upon the people of Kenya to refuse to be taken through that perilous path. It is therefore expected of any judge before whom the challenge on the advisory by the Chief Justice has or will be made to uphold the Constitution, no matter what pressure may be put to bear on him or her by the self-assured individuals behind any such ill-advised litigation. And we must emphasize this: any judge before whom this petition is brought must ensure that he or she upholds the Constitution. In an attempt to mislead the people of Kenya, the individuals responsible for this violation of the Constitution have made several misrepresentations. First, they have falsely claimed that there is a lacuna on how the by-election is to be conducted and the term of the new Parliament subsequent to dissolution. Secondly, they have misled the people of Kenya to think that the term of the President of the Republic of Kenya, and this is important, governors and members of county assemblies, is affected by the dissolution, thereby bringing the entire business operations to a halt. It is therefore important to allay these unfounded fears by telling you, the people of Kenya, the truth. And this is the truth. There is no lacuna in the Constitution on whenever there is an individual or collective vacancy in Parliament. In this particular case, as is in any other where there is a vacancy in Parliament, a by-election is to be held within 90 days of dissolution of Parliament, as provided for under Article 101 sub Article 4, paragraph B of the Constitution of Kenya. The members of Parliament elected in the by-election shall serve until the next general election, being August 2022. The dissolution of Parliament, Kenyans, does not end the term of the President, the term of the governors, and members of the county assemblies. Parliament is simply that, Parliament, constituted by the National Assembly and the Senate. These Kenyans, you must understand, you should not be beguiled by those who want to lie to Kenyans that there is a constitutional crisis. There is a problem, but there is no constitutional crisis. The business of government will not come to a halt. Mindful of the impunity that has been perpetuated by Parliament, in particular the Speakers of the National Assembly and the Senate, it is imperative that certain measures be put in place to ensure that no financial burden shall lie on the Kenyan taxpayer should Parliament persist in exercising authority in violation of the Constitution after the 12th of October 2020. To this end, we have this morning written to the Cabinet Secretary in charge of National Treasury and Planning to cease the remittance of salaries and allowances to members of the National Assembly and senators of the 12th Parliament with effect from the 12th of October 2020. They shall not get a salary. Man shall not eat where he has not labored. Further, we have written to the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Security, as well as the Inspector General of the National Police, to withdraw all police officers designated to guard these who will be former parliamentarians, be it in Nairobi or in their constituencies. We have also asked the Parliamentary Service Commission to ensure that the two houses of Parliament are closed to members of the National Assembly and the Senate effective the 12th of October, because these individuals will no longer have the authority of the people of Kenya to hold themselves out as parliamentarians. Kenyans, lastly, we have asked the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to ensure compliance by political parties. And this is important because I've seen political party leaders led by Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga and Honorable Musalia Mudavadi lamenting the action of the Chief Justice. They are the cause of this problem, Kenyans. They must be called out. And this is what the IEBC is required to do. It is required to ensure that the two-thirds gender principle is complied with by political parties in nominations in respect of the by-election that will ensure subsequent to the advisory given by the Chief Justice. This request, friends, is made based upon the clear provisions of Article 81B of the Constitution and the judgment of the High Court made in the case of Katiba Institute versus the IBC, which judgment directed that there must be compliance with the two-third gender rule in any election to be conducted subsequent to the date of delivery of that decision. Kenyans, in the intervening period, we will write to the United Nations, and Kenya is a member state of the United Nations. We will write to the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, and Kenya receives a lot of donations, funds and loans from these institutions. We will write to the European Union, we will write to the African Union, the East African Community, other international and regional agencies, and Kenyan's development partners, not to transact business with the government of the Republic of Kenya, where such a business requires parliamentary approval and oversight. This is a grave matter, but it must be undertaken here and now for there to be adherence to the rule of law and constitutionalism. Cognizance of the continued disregard of the Constitution of Kenya and the rule of law by elected and appointed leaders in this country, and in exercise of the sovereignty of the people of Kenya, given under Article 1 sub Article 2 of the Constitution of Kenya, which empowers you, the people of Kenya, to exercise sovereign power directly, the Law Society of Kenya shall lead the people of Kenya to occupy Parliament effective 12th of October 2020 until a by-election is held, should the people's elected representatives in the 12th Parliament persist in impunity. Kenyans, this is the course that we must take here and now, because if we don't do that, our generation will be held accountable for the grave violations of the Constitution by our delegates. Thank you. Any questions? Sam, move a little bit closer.
Because of the advice of the Chief Justice cannot be challenged in court, but then every Kenyan has the right to go to court for interpretation of any decisions that may be affecting them or the state. So how do you reconcile that? And then secondly, you are saying that IBC should go ahead and conduct by-elections after the resolution, but you are aware that currently the tune of Papaya for such remains very unclear. Is anything possible because following the house of as we look at the estimates and appropriate money for such an exercise?
Thank you, Sam. You've raised two fundamental questions. One, whether it is improper for us to assert that the decision of the Chief Justice cannot be challenged in a court of law, for the reason that every Kenyan is entitled to approach courts of law for reprieve. Every Kenyan expressed his or her will in the Constitution. Article 261 sub-article 7 contains the collective will of Kenyans. Unless and until the Constitution of Kenya is repealed, that represents the will of the people. And the government of the Republic of Kenya is constituted of a tripartite arrangement, constituted of the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. When performing this function to advise the president to dissolve parliament, the Chief Justice does not exercise the powers of a judge or administrative powers. He exercises delegated people's power. He is speaking to the President of the Republic of Kenya on behalf of the people of Kenya. And it's for that reason, therefore, that the people did not contemplate a situation whereby their will be challenged before a court of law. Number two, you've raised concern as to the ability of the IBC to conduct a by-election for the reason that there is no money. Kenyans, your government, your elected and appointed people have squandered close to 50 billion on account of COVID funds as we speak right now. What is the cost of conducting an election? Is it more than 10 billion? What is the cost of conducting a referendum? How much money, your money, has been allocated towards BBI? You see, there can never be the claim of inconvenience when you are required to comply with the Constitution. For that reason, therefore, IBC should be prepared to hold a by-election at most within 90 days from the 12th of October. Kenya has money, a lot of money. Let that money not be pilfered. Let the money be used towards upholding the rule of law and constitutionalism.
But how would that money get to IBC? They need Parliament to pass it. And Parliament is saying to be dissolved beyond scope of the vote.
The only business that Parliament can do right now is to fund IBC. And this is not novel. They did that immediately before the election in 2017.
Parliament has made two arguments to really propose their advice. One of them is that the court order given by Justice John Makigo in 2017 was not served on them. Article 261(6) they say requires that there is evidence that that order was served on them, the Speaker of the Assembly, the Speaker. second question related to that is they argue that order in 2017 relates to the level fund. How do you reconcile these two things, given that this is important?
Good. Lagat, from the Daily Nation, there is a principle in law that there must be an end to litigation. Parliamentarians are the lawmakers. They are the ones who made this law. There were two cases that preceded the decision by the Chief Justice. The first case was decided by Honorable Lady Justice Mombi Ngugi, in which the National Assembly and the Senate, as well as the Attorney General, were parties. The second case was decided by Honorable Justice Mativo, again in which those three individuals were parties. The order was transmitted to them when it was delivered. How else would they have wanted the order to be transmitted to them? By registered mail? But more importantly, the Chief Justice, upon receiving a petition from Margaret Toyle and David Sudi, did write to the speakers of the National Assembly and the Senate and asked them to explain what steps have been taken before he could act. The two speakers responded, and in fact they sought more time. They therefore have knowledge of the making of this order. I seem to have forgotten your last question. Could you repeat it?
The 11th Parliament, the argument that the order
Okay.
is for the 11th Parliament.
Good. Parliament is Parliament, just as government is government. We cannot say that we'll disregard all contracts that were entered into by the government under the leadership of President Mwai Kibaki, now that we have the leadership of President Uhuru Kenyatta. Parliament succeeds in perpetuity. Parliament has failed to comply. It is this Parliament that is liable to be dissolved. That argument is unsustainable. In fact, the argument was raised before the Court of Appeal and it was dismissed by the Court of Appeal. This matter has reached its finality. Come a little bit closer.
What would be the fate of the institution after the Parliament?
As we speak right now, Parliament is unconstitutional, but Parliament is yet to be dissolved. There is a time frame within which Parliament must be dissolved. That is 21 days from the 21st of September 2020. The 21 days lapse on the 12th of October 2020. Effective 12th October 2020, any laws that will be made by the National Assembly and the Senate will be null and void ab initio, because they will not have the propulsion, the sanction and support of the sovereign, the people of Kenya. Yes, Sam. Come a little bit closer.
Does it concern you that the Chief Justice is because the advisory of the President says that the speakers of the National Assembly and the Senate at some point didn't complete the correspondence, and so he stopped that engagement. And also the Attorney General never agreed on the status of suing the Chief role. Yet the parliamentarians have been saying that there is a special interest bill before the Senate as well as constitutional amendment bill. Does it concern you that the Chief Justice may have hurried to make that advisory, yet there are other matters that are going on which may have room for alternative information communication?
Parliament is a delegate of the people. Parliament must not beguile or lie to the people of Kenya. The special interest group bill has nothing whatsoever to do with gender parity and equality. Why do I say so? Because gender is predicated upon principles that are known, male and female. It's not an incapacity or a disadvantage. And to that end, both the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Senate have admitted their failure to comply. Why do I say so? Because two bills on two-third gender rule have been brought before the floor of the National Assembly, and they have failed because parliamentarians did not garner the required majority to pass the law. And if you look at it from that standpoint, you realize that the Chief Justice, in fact, bent backwards to accommodate Parliament and the Attorney General. But what did they do? The Chief Justice asked them to file replying affidavits to explain why there has been no compliance. They did file replying affidavits. They also asked to put in written submissions, arguments on law. It will surprise you, Kenyans, despite the colossal sums of monies allocated to the National Assembly and the Senate, they did not respond. They did not proffer a legal argument before the Chief Justice. The only legal arguments that were before the Chief Justice were those put by the Law Society of Kenya. What about the Attorney General? The Attorney General did not even bother to respond to these petitions, did not bother to write his submissions so that they can be considered. On what basis, therefore, will they be going to court? They have been given an opportunity to present their case. They did not present a case because they had no case. It cannot lie in their mouth right now to come and tell Kenyans that the Chief Justice has taken the country into a perilous path of turmoil. It is them, members of the National Assembly and the Senate, who have taken us to a perilous path. The Chief Justice has performed his role, and you, the people of Kenya, must stand firm and perform your role. Parliament must be dissolved pronto. Thank you, Kenyans. Perform your duty.
Sorry, what did you mean with occupy Parliament?
Yes, we meant that. We'll occupy Parliament because anybody who will be in Parliament in the name of a parliamentarians past the 12th of October will be a trespasser. He or she will not have the authority of the people of Kenya to legislate. We'll go there in accordance with the power given to us by the Constitution to exercise power directly and occupy Parliament until such a time as a by-election will have been held. We will not do what our friends in Burkina Faso did by setting ablaze Parliament, because we want these people out to put in better people in Parliament. No, we will not sit on the seats of Parliament. We will close Parliament to the trespassers. We will maintain vigil so that our property is not occupied by trespassers. Sam, are you satisfied? I've run out of breath.
You can join us in the occupation.
Oh, one more thing. The Law Society will conduct a national-wide campaign to be spearheaded by the branches to sensitize the people of Kenya on the need to do this. It must be done, Kenyans. May I therefore call upon the branch chairs to be prepared to undertake this noble task of asserting the will of the people of Kenya. Thank you. God bless you. God bless Kenya now and forevermore.